Jane Gupta joins us to take the story forward. Mr. Gupta, what's your first reaction to the fact that the promoters currently have decided to infuse almost the entire market cap in their personal capacity? The issue price has been priced at about 12.5 instead of 30. How should one read into this?
One needs to read into very clearly that the promoters believe in the business and they are committed for long term. So that is the first thing. But one has to view it in a overall perspective. The telecom industry, if you see, is going through a very, very big crisis in terms of losses that have been made by all the companies. If you see, still few years back, BSNL was supposed to be a Maharatna, but today it is in a position that it can't even pay salaries to its employees. Idea and Vodafone, both profit-making company of yesteryears, have all become a loss-making company. And even Jio, if the newspaper reports are to be believed, the Jio standalone had made a loss. Now, how long this situation can continue in industry is one has to wait and watch. For the simple reason, this cannot go on indefinitely. The reason is very simple, that if all the companies become sick and they go out of the business, it will have two repercussions. One, it will create some sort of a monopoly in the market in the telecom industry. The second is that the
Just comment on what he makes of this entire capital infusion. Rajan, on paper, this is a big capital infusion, a large capital infusion. But is money the only solution? And for minority shareholders, how should they look at this? Promoter intent is great. Promoter desperation is obvious. But do you think by cash infusion, problems will be taken care of?
So clearly, it is a critical ingredient of success. You can't talk about the present situation where the leverage is relatively high for the industry. So clearly, equity infusion is critical, and this is what the marketplace has been talking about. DOT has been talking about.
Mr. Singhvi joins us from Singapore, so I'll have to, I'll have to just interrupt you for 30 seconds. I'm coming right back to you. Okay, there you go. Just when we thought Anil Singhvi was ready, he's clearly not ready. Rajan, please carry on. Pardon me for the rude interruption.
No, that's okay. I think the point we are raising is that equity infusion into all of our companies is critically important and necessary, because that sends a very clear signal in terms of the seriousness of the promoters, the intent of the promoters. I mean, minority stockholders are not going to be particularly happy if the major promoters themselves don't send the right signals into the marketplace. And I think we're seeing a very, very clear signal coming from BIL that, one, they're going to bring in the infusion, they're serious, they're going to be serious players, this is serious money, they're going to be focused on making the investments in the network, the quality of the network, getting ready for 5G, which are all the future opportunities. And so we have to look beyond the predictable present situation. And so the market has got to get the right signals. And I think this is absolutely the right signals to the marketplace, to the government, saying that we are serious players as well. Please look at the request from the industry to brighten the future of this industry, because we are putting real money behind the promises and the outlook that we have for the industry, in spite of the present malaise that is being faced by the folks playing in the industry.
We also have Anil Singhvi. I think Anil Singhvi would be joining us in moments from now. He's not there. Okay. Mr. Gupta, we are talking about promoter intent. How should minority shareholders read into this issue? Yes, promoters have put their shoulder to the wheel. They have put in a capital commitment. The price of Vodafone Idea right now is at 30 rupees. The right issue price is at 12.5. Is there enough and more reason why minority shareholders should get excited? Mr. Gupta?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, the issue is very clear that the company is passing through a phase where it desperately needs cash. And the cash can come from many sources. One is the debt, and because of the high leverage, the debt is not possible. Secondly, by inviting other investors, that is also not possible, because at current market price, very few investors would be willing to put their neck in, and the price to a third party cannot be less than. So, a right issue is probably the most equitable capital issue process, and SES as a principle has been always advocating that the first form of raising capital must be from the right issue so that every existing investor has an equal opportunity to participate. Now, it is up to the investors to evaluate whether they want to continue in the sector or not, what future they look in. However, as far as the promoters are concerned, they have very clearly shown their intent, that their intent is for long term. They are ready to put their necks in and participate into the right issue. So I would say it always depends upon the future potential that the investors see. And again, I'm saying that this predatory pricing cannot continue perpetually, because in predatory pricing the problem is the beneficiary is I and you who are consumer of telecom services. But the price is ultimately paid by the entire populace because of the bad debts and all other things. If the industry gets, the second risk is that over a period of time the industry will get monopolized, or however Competition Commission will ensure that the monopoly situation is not created. But when a situation comes, when the other companies...
How should one read into this capital infusion? Is this end of the problem? Is this, or this is just a lifeline for next 2 or 3 years? And Nitin, also, what do you think it means for the minority shareholder? Because the minority shareholder now could get a right issue at 12.5 rupees, which is substantially lower than the current market price. And the current market price is also substantially lower than where it was 2 years ago. And it is available, the stock is now available at an all-time low.
Is this question to me?
That's right, Nitin.
Thanks for having me, Nikunj. We don't comment on, the equity subscription or what should minority do. All I can say is that we have a stable outlook on the sector. And your first question was an interesting one. I think our opinion is that it's a step in the right direction. They're reducing their debt. They have about $15-16 billion of debt. Their EBITDA has declined persistently. They have about $650-700 million of annualized EBITDA on a consolidated basis. And it's a necessity for them to do this rights issue, to reduce their debt. Even after doing this, and even after, selling their stake in the Infratel Index combined, they would still have a stretched balance sheet with debt to EBITDA of, at least 10 times and above. So the industry needs a higher average tariff levels, which are unsustainably low. At $1.3 US, it is one of the cheapest market. Data is virtually, it's free for the consumers, and nowhere else in the market you get such loads of data at such a cheap price. So our outlook for the sector is stable, and we think that average revenue per user levels will rise from here on. It's in 2019, we should see at least a rise of 20% plus.
20% from it. Deven, Choksey, if a client calls you after the news that, Deven, I'm getting a right issue of Idea Vodafone, the promoters are infusing 25,000 crore, which is almost equivalent to the market cap of company, and I'm getting a right issue which is at a substantial discount to the current listed stock price. Should I go ahead and subscribe to it?
Nikunj, well, I think my view on the particular subject of telecommunication has been fairly negative, I think, for some time. And I continue to hold it for a reason. I feel that I think Vodafone Idea in particular and Airtel along with, I think are putting more money right now in creating the infrastructure, which is fiber and the tower infrastructure, in building the network. I guess I think this is a probably low return generating business compared to I think the business which they have up till now ran. So in the viewpoint of mine, I think this particular subject is not going to yield major amount of benefit to the shareholders. That is what my viewpoint would be. Unless I think you have the ability to monetize your infrastructure business, which is very near putting more money right now, I don't think that I think shareholders would get substantially rewarded after this activity. And I mean to say that I think in telecommunication business, I think people should put more money into the business and not in creating the infrastructure. Where I believe that I think the larger amount of revenue would be generated from the data that you would be selling. And for selling the data, I think you will require to have a significant number of the content pipeline which has to be created. I would like to see the company putting more money in that area vis-a-vis putting money in the area of, I think, creating the infrastructure. So view should remain negative as far as I am concerned. Maybe I think at least 2 years after we can review the situation once again afresh. But till that point of time, I think the view is not improving as far as I am concerned.
The stock, let me look at the intraday graph here. The intraday graph of Vodafone Idea. From the intraday, I think the stock has recovered marginally. Volumes are 3.5 crore shares. Rakesh, you've seen many right issue instances in the past, but I have not seen a right issue instant in my past, Rakesh, where the promoters in their personal capacity would be pumping in as much as the current market cap of the company. Is this desperation or a clear commitment?
No, so there are two objectives here. When you're doing a rights issue at such a large discount, you really want your minority shareholders to put in the money. Otherwise, they are going to be diluted significantly. So the first objective is to, get everybody to subscribe because they need money, and promoters really don't want to put in the whole of the rights issue amount, and that is why they are making it expensive for minority shareholders to avoid this right issue. Number two is that even now, if the minority shareholders avoid the issue, then promoters are going to be able to raise their stake at a very cheap valuation as compared to where the market cap is right now. So those are the two twin objectives. And
Anil, what do you make of this commitment from promoter, which is coming at a substantial discount for the minority shareholders? Is this one of those deals which could be called as a steal deal, or a deal where one needs to be careful considering the state of the telecom sector? Anil, this question was for you.
Yeah, because I think it has to be seen in the light of how the telecom industry is going today. We saw in case of Bharti as well, it came at a deep discount because they have to recapitalize the company. Hello?
Right, I can hear you. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so they have to recapitalize the companies because they can't take on to the might of Jio unless they are recapitalized on that. Now, such a large right issues have to be discounted only, otherwise it will be very difficult for them to get complete, a lot money coming in. So I think they have a very limited choice on that because they can't raise that, and coming out with a QIP will at this stage and this kind of numbers of 25,000 crore will be very difficult on that. So I think relying on the promoters for funding is the only idea, which is what we saw in case of Bharti and which is what we are seeing in case of Vodafone Idea, which is a good commitment because I think the industry looks far consolidated than what it has been in past. Going forward, I think we are seeing the lowest patch in terms of telecom industry's journey to the future. So this money which is coming in today, maybe it's usually dilutive from the point of view of the entire shareholders. But since it is right issue, I think everyone has an opportunity to participate. Had it been done by way of a QIP, I would have really worried about for the minority shareholders that it is too dilutive for minority shareholders. But since everyone has an opportunity to participate at this price, I think in overall scheme of things, it's a good thing.
So Anil, one part is the commitment from the promoter. Second part is that will this commitment from the promoter be good enough to ride the business environment? Because pricing will not go up in a hurry. The disruptive nature of the telecom industry is here to stay, and you do have a situation where one large player frankly does not care about the ARPUs or frankly does not care about realizations.
No, I don't think I would like to take that view that Jio does not care about anything on this and they have unlimited resources and unlimited money to fight it out. Finally, they can't have a situation where they are the only one left, okay? It will be important thing to look at from this that Jio also would like to have some serious players in the industry, 2 or 3, which is good for the industry. India is a large market on that. So I think beyond this, I would not read too much into it that once you have this kind of recapitalization, they will still be bleeding for next couple of years and yet they will have no value addition on that. As I mentioned to you, I think we are seeing the lowest level of the telecom industry. The ARPUs have come down to a level where it will be not sustainable for anyone to do it. So going forward, we'll see a stability coming in. People are becoming used to using so much of data, which is perhaps was the reason that Jio wanted to do it at a very, very low prices. Now, to call it a predatory pricing, maybe for some point in time it was predatory pricing, but as we go towards maturity in the telecom industry, I think things will stabilize. And once you
become used to something like we all are becoming used to so much of data consumption, I think it will remain. Even if the prices increase from here on, I don't think we are going to not use data for variety of things in life on that. So in terms of penetration, I think Jio has done a fabulous thing in penetrating the Indian users. They've become more used to data than voice, which was the only factor for revenue. I feel in next 2 or 3 years' time, we'll see a lot of stability coming in telecom industry, and recapitalization of both Bharti and Idea will go a long way in having 3 or 4 mature players in the industry.
Right, Anil. Thanks so much for giving us the perspective. Thank you so much, others, for joining us. Nitin, Soni, Rajan, Mathews, as well as Deven and Rakesh Arora also did join us earlier. On that note, we're taking a break. We're coming back quickly. But before we go into the break, let's listen into a view from S. Naren of ICICI about the telecom sector.
Actually, every month we spend time thinking whether is telecom a value trap or not. And what it appears to me is that we have had one of the most disruptive changes in market share over a period in this sector, and that is the reason why it appears like a value trap. I believe if I look at the next 5 years and I look at how all of us behave, I think it's a sector where which is very core to India, and without telecom and IT, there is no India.